In the vast emptiness of space, the *SS Vanguard* floated quietly, its engines humming softly as it moved through the endless darkness. The ship was part of Earth's Deathworlders fleet, a group known for taking on missions that were too dangerous for others. Its crew had faced many challenges, but nothing could have prepared them for what was about to happen. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, his sharp eyes scanning the screens in front of him. The soft hum of the ship's systems filled the air, a constant reminder of how fragile their existence was out here in the cold void. Beside him, Lieutenant Olivia Brooks adjusted her glasses as she studied the data coming in from the long-range sensors. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls, her face focused and serious. "Captain," Olivia said finally, breaking the silence, "we've picked up something unusual." Liam turned to her, his expression calm but alert. "What is it?" "It's a signal," she replied. "Faint, but definitely artificial. It's coming from a sector we haven't explored yet." The news spread quickly among the senior officers. Commander Ethan Hayes, a tall man with broad shoulders and a no-nonsense attitude, joined them on the bridge. He crossed his arms as he listened to Olivia explain the details. "Could be a trap," he muttered. "Out here, nothing's ever simple." Dr. Rachel Meyer, the ship's calm and kind medical officer, also arrived. She was quieter than the others, but always observant. "Even if it's a trap," she said softly, "we can't just ignore it. What if someone really needs our help?" Liam nodded. He knew Rachel was right. The Deathworlders fleet had a reputation for bravery, but more importantly, for compassion. Turning away from a cry for help wasn't an option. Still, caution was necessary. Space was unpredictable, and danger lurked around every corner. The signal itself was strange. It repeated in short bursts, almost like a heartbeat. Olivia worked tirelessly to clean up the transmission, hoping to decipher its meaning. After hours of effort, she managed to isolate fragments of what sounded like words. Alien words, unlike any language they'd encountered before. The tone was desperate, filled with urgency. "We need to check it out," Liam decided. "But we'll approach carefully. Ethan, assemble a landing party. Be ready for anything." Ethan gave a firm nod. "Understood, Captain." As preparations began, tension settled over the crew. The unknown always brought unease, especially when venturing into uncharted territory. The coordinates pointed to a distant star system, far beyond the usual patrol routes. Along the way, they would pass through asteroid fields and radiation zones, making the journey even riskier. Back in her lab, Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that this mission was different. Something about the signal felt alive. It wasn't just a random broadcast. It carried emotion, pain, and fear. Whoever, or whatever, was sending it wasn't doing so casually. They were begging for salvation. Days passed as the Vanguard pushed forward. The closer they got to the source, the stronger the signal became. Soon, it was impossible to ignore. Every beep and pulse echoed through the ship, reminding everyone of the stakes. The crew worked tirelessly, checking equipment, running simulations, and preparing for the worst. Finally, they reached the edge of the target system. Through the viewport, stars glittered against the dark canvas of space. Below them lay a planet shrouded in swirling clouds of dust and debris. It looked barren, lifeless. Yet the signal grew louder, confirming that this desolate world was indeed its origin. "This is it," Liam said, his voice steady despite the weight of uncertainty. "Let's find out who, or what, is calling for help." The crew exchanged glances, each person silently steeling themselves for what lay ahead. Whatever awaited them on that planet, one thing was certain. Their lives were about to change forever. The *SS Vanguard* moved cautiously through the uncharted sector, its crew on edge as they approached the source of the mysterious signal. The journey was not easy. Asteroid fields loomed ahead, their jagged rocks spinning unpredictably in the void. Radiation storms crackled around them, forcing the ship to navigate carefully to avoid damage. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the screens showing the obstacles in their path. "Lieutenant Brooks," Liam said, turning to Olivia, "how's the signal holding up?" Olivia adjusted her glasses and studied the readings. "It's still strong, Captain. Whatever's sending it is close now." Commander Ethan Hayes stood nearby, his arms crossed. He had spent hours preparing the landing parties, choosing only the most skilled members of the crew. "We'll need to be ready for anything," he said. "This could be a trap, or it could be something worse." Dr. Rachel Meyer nodded quietly. She had packed medical supplies and reviewed emergency procedures, knowing that injuries were almost inevitable on such a mission. "Let's just hope we're prepared," she said softly. As the ship drew closer to the planet, the crew began to notice strange details. The surface was covered in swirling clouds of dust and debris, making it hard to see what lay beneath. But sensors picked up signs of structures. Large, alien-made buildings buried under layers of sand. It was clear that this world had once been home to an advanced civilization. "We're entering orbit," announced the helmsman, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. The ship slowed down, circling the planet as the crew gathered more data. Olivia worked quickly, analyzing the scans and piecing together fragments of information. "There's something down there," she said finally. "Something big." Captain Carter made his decision. "We're going in," he said firmly. "Ethan, you're with me. Dr. Meyer, too. Olivia, stay here and monitor our progress from the ship." The landing party prepared swiftly, donning protective suits and checking their equipment one last time. The atmosphere of the planet was thin and toxic, so they would rely on their suits for survival. As the shuttle detached from the Vanguard and descended toward the surface, the crew felt a mix of excitement and fear. When they landed, the scene before them was eerie. The ground was covered in fine, red sand that shifted with every step. Towering ruins rose out of the landscape, their shapes twisted and unfamiliar. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, pulsing in rhythm with the distress signal that had brought them here. "Stay alert," Liam ordered as they stepped out of the shuttle. His hand hovered near his weapon, ready for anything. The team moved carefully, their boots crunching against the sandy ground. The air was silent except for the sound of their breathing inside their helmets. As they explored deeper into the ruins, they found evidence of a once thriving society. Broken machines lay scattered around, their purposes unknown. Artifacts hinted at advanced technology, but there was no sign of the people who had built it. The place felt abandoned, yet something about it seemed alive. "This doesn't make sense," Ethan muttered, examining a strange device half buried in the sand. "Where did everyone go?" Before anyone could answer, a low hum filled the air. It grew louder, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. Suddenly, a shadow moved in the distance. The team froze, their weapons raised. From behind a crumbling wall emerged a figure, thin, frail, and unlike anything they had ever seen. "It's alive," Rachel whispered, stepping forward cautiously. The creature's large, glowing eyes locked onto hers. Its body shimmered faintly, as if made of light and energy. It staggered toward them, its movements weak and unsteady. Liam lowered his weapon slightly. "Hold your fire," he ordered. The creature reached out a trembling hand, and then, without warning, it collapsed onto the ground. Rachel rushed to its side, scanning it with her medical equipment. "It's injured," she said urgently. "We need to get it back to the ship." The team exchanged uneasy glances. They had come looking for answers, but instead they had found a mystery, and possibly a survivor. As they carried the alien back to the shuttle, the glowing symbols on the ruins pulsed brighter, as if watching them leave. Back aboard the Vanguard, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were being drawn into something far bigger than they had imagined. Back aboard the Vanguard, the alien was carefully placed in the medical bay. Dr. Rachel Meyer worked quickly, her hand steady as she examined the strange being. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Its skin shimmered faintly, and its body seemed to glow with an inner light. Though it appeared weak, there was a sense of intelligence in its large, glowing eyes. The crew gathered around, watching silently as Rachel tended to it. "Is it going to be okay?" Captain Liam Carter asked, his voice low. Rachel nodded without looking up. "I think so. It's injured, but not critically. Whatever this creature is, it's resilient." As the alien began to recover, something unexpected happened. A soft hum filled the room, and the crew felt a strange sensation in their minds, as if someone was speaking to them without words. The alien's thoughts reached out, gentle but urgent. It wasn't using language, at least not in the way humans understood it. Instead, images and emotions flooded their minds. "My name, Nova," came a voice inside their heads. The word was simple, yet it carried a weight of meaning. The alien identified itself, or perhaps that wasn't even its real name, but something it hoped they could understand. "You're safe now," Rachel said softly, trying to project calmness. "We're here to help." Nova's thoughts grew clearer, though still fragmented. It showed them flashes of its world, a thriving civilization filled with towering structures and advanced technology. Then came darker images, shadowy figures descending from the sky, chaos erupting, and people fleeing in terror. The memories were painful, and the crew could feel Nova's sadness and fear. "What happened to your people?" Liam asked, his tone gentle but firm. Nova hesitated, as if gathering strength. Then more images came, horrifying visions of a parasitic species that fed on the life force of others. These creatures, which Nova called the Virkans, were relentless predators. They invaded worlds, enslaving entire populations to sustain themselves. Nova's people had fought back, but they were no match for the Virkans' power. One by one, they fell, until only a few remained. "They're still out there," Nova warned, its mental voice trembling. "Waiting, hunting." The room fell silent as the crew processed what they had just learned. The Virkans sounded like a nightmare come to life, creatures that consumed life itself. But Nova wasn't finished. It shared coordinates etched into its memory, pointing to a distant location where the Virkans had built their hive. The images were blurry, but the message was clear. This was the source of the threat. Commander Ethan Hayes frowned, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. "This changes everything," he said. "If these things are still active, we can't just leave. We have to deal with them." "But how?" Olivia Brooks asked, her voice tinged with worry. She had been analyzing the data from the ruins, and now understood why the planet seemed abandoned. The Virkans had left nothing behind. "We don't even know what we're up against." Liam thought carefully before speaking. "We need more information. If Nova's right, then the hive is our best chance to understand the Virkans, and maybe stop them." Nova nodded weakly, its glowing eyes locking onto Liam's. "Help me. End this," it pleaded through its thoughts. Rachel looked at the alien with sympathy. "It's risking everything to trust us," she said quietly. "We owe it to Nova to try." The decision weighed heavily on everyone, but there was no turning back now. Nova had shown them the truth, and ignoring it would mean abandoning not just this survivor, but countless others who might fall victim to the Virkans. The crew knew the risks. They had faced danger before, but this felt different. This wasn't just about survival. It was about stopping a threat that could spread across the galaxy. Preparations began immediately. Olivia worked tirelessly to map out the route to the hive, while Ethan assembled a team to accompany Liam on the mission. Weapons were checked, suits were tested, and plans were made. The Vanguard set course for the coordinates Nova had provided, leaving the desolate planet behind. As the ship moved through space, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Nova rested in the medical bay, its presence a constant reminder of the stakes. The glowing symbols from the ruins lingered in their minds, pulsing faintly in their memories. They were heading into the unknown, but one thing was certain. The fight ahead would test them all. The *SS Vanguard* approached the coordinates Nova had provided, and the crew braced themselves for what lay ahead. On the view screen, a massive shape loomed in the distance, a colossal organism floating silently in the void of space. It looked like a living fortress, its surface covered in pulsating veins and jagged spires that glowed faintly with an eerie light. This was the Verkan hive. "This is it," Captain Liam Carter said, his voice steady but tense. "Everyone, stay sharp." Lieutenant Olivia Brooks studied the readings from her station, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. "It's huge," she muttered. "And it's alive. Every part of it seems to be connected, like one giant organism." Commander Ethan Hayes stood nearby, his jaw tight. "We need eyes on the inside," he said. "But getting close won't be easy." The crew prepared carefully, knowing this mission could mean life or death. Stealth was their best option, so they deployed small drones to scout the hive's exterior. The drones sent back images of strange, insect-like creatures crawling across the surface. These were the Verkans, twisted, parasitic beings with elongated limbs and glowing red eyes. They moved with unnatural speed, patrolling every inch of the hive. "They're guarding something," Olivia said, analyzing the footage. "There's a central chamber deep inside. I think that's where the control node is." Dr. Rachel Meyer, who had been monitoring Nova's condition, joined them on the bridge. "Nova says that's the heart of the hive," she explained. "If we can destroy it, the entire structure might collapse." Liam nodded. "Then that's our target. Ethan, gather your team. We're going in." The landing party suited up, checking their weapons and equipment one last time. Nova, though still weak, insisted on joining them. "I must help," it said through its thoughts. "I know their weaknesses." As they boarded the shuttle, the tension among the crew was palpable. None of them had faced anything like this before. The shuttle detached from the *Vanguard* and headed toward the hive, slipping past the Verkan patrols using the cover of shadow and careful maneuvering. When they landed on the hive's surface, the air was thick with a strange metallic smell. The ground beneath their feet felt soft, almost fleshy, as if the hive itself was alive. The team moved cautiously, sticking to the shadows to avoid detection. Nova led the way, its glowing form dimming slightly to blend in with the darkness. They soon reached an entrance, a gaping hole lined with jagged teeth-like structures. Inside, the hive was even more horrifying than they had imagined. The walls pulsed rhythmically, as if breathing, and strange fluids dripped from the ceiling. The sound of scuttling echoed around them, growing louder with each step. "This place is alive," Ethan whispered, his weapon raised. "Stay close." As they ventured deeper, they encountered the captives, dozens of alien species imprisoned in pods filled with a gel-like substance. Their lifeless eyes stared blankly, their bodies drained of energy. Rachel clenched her fists, anger rising in her chest. "This is monstrous," she said quietly. Nova's thoughts grew urgent. "We must free them," it urged. "But first, the core." The team pressed on, following Nova's guidance. They reached a massive chamber at the center of the hive, dominated by a pulsating orb suspended in midair. This was the control node, the heart of the hive. But they weren't alone. Dozens of Verkans swarmed into the room, their red eyes locking onto the intruders. "Here we go," Ethan said, raising his weapon. "Time to fight." The battle erupted instantly. The Verkans lunged with terrifying speed, their claws slashing through the air. The crew fought back fiercely, their training keeping them alive despite the overwhelming odds. Nova unleashed bursts of energy, stunning the creatures and giving the team precious moments to regroup. But the Verkans kept coming, wave after wave. The odds seemed impossible, and the crew knew they couldn't hold out forever. "We need to destroy the core," Liam shouted over the chaos. Ethan nodded grimly. He turned to the team, his expression resolute. "I'll hold them off. Get to the core." Before anyone could argue, Ithan charged forward, drawing the Virkans' attention. His sacrifice gave the others the chance they needed. With tears in their eyes, the team pushed onward, determined to finish the mission no matter the cost. The team moved quickly toward the pulsating core, their hearts pounding with fear and determination. Behind them, Commander Ithan Hayes fought fiercely against the swarm of Virkans, his weapon blazing as he held them back. His shouts echoed through the chamber, urging the others to keep going. "Don't stop," he yelled, his voice trained but firm. "Finish this." Nova led the way, its glowing form flickering faintly as it used the last of its strength to guide the crew. Captain Liam Carter and Dr. Rachel Meyer followed closely, their weapons ready in case any Virkans broke through Ethan's defense. The air was thick with tension, the walls of the hive pulsing faster, as if the organism itself knew they were close to destroying its heart. When they reached the core, Liam studied it carefully. The orb was massive, suspended in the center of the chamber by thick, vein-like strands that pulsed with energy. It radiated a low hum, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. "How do we destroy it?" Liam asked, turning to Nova. Nova hesitated, its thoughts weak but clear. "Strike. At the base," it said. "Sever the connection." Rachel nodded and stepped forward. "I'll do it," she said, pulling out a small explosive device from her pack. "Cover me." Liam raised his weapon, scanning the room for any sign of movement. "Hurry," he urged. "We don't have much time." As Rachel worked on setting the explosive, the sounds of battle grew louder behind them. Ethan's shouts were now mixed with the screeches of the Virkans. He was running out of ammunition, his movements slower as exhaustion set in. Still, he refused to give up, using every ounce of strength to protect his team. Rachel placed the explosive at the base of the core and activated the timer. "It's set," she shouted. "We need to get out of here. Now." But before they could retreat, a group of Virkans broke through Ethan's line of defense. They lunged toward the core, their claws slashing wildly. Liam fired his weapon, hitting one of the creatures and knocking it back, but more kept coming. "Go," Ethan roared, stepping between the Virkans and his teammates. "I'll hold them off." "No," Liam shouted, unwilling to leave him behind. "There's no time to argue." Ethan snapped, his face fierce. "Get out of here." Tears filled Rachel's eyes as she grabbed Liam's arm, pulling him away. Nova stayed close, its light dimming further as it guided them toward the exit. Reluctantly, Liam followed, knowing they couldn't afford to waste the sacrifice Ethan was making. Behind them, Ethan stood alone, surrounded by Virkans. With a final roar, he unleashed everything he had left, taking down as many of the creatures as possible. His weapon clicked empty, and he drew his blade, fighting hand-to-hand until the very end. The team ran as fast as they could, the countdown of the explosive ticking loudly in their ears. They reached the shuttle just as the timer hit 0. A deafening explosion rocked the hive, shaking the entire structure. The walls convulsed violently, fluids bursting from the veins as the organism began to collapse. "We need to go," Liam shouted, jumping into the pilot's seat. He fired up the engines and pulled away from the hive just as it imploded, collapsing into itself in a burst of light and debris. The shuttle raced back toward the *SS Vanguard*, the crew silent and shaken. None of them spoke as they watched the remains of the hive drift apart, scattered into the void of space. Ethan's sacrifice had saved them all. Back aboard the ship, the mood was somber. Nova rested in the medical bay, its light barely visible. Rachel tended to it quietly, her hands trembling as she thought about what they had lost. Liam stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars, his mind heavy with grief. "He gave everything," Rachel said softly, joining him. "For us. For everyone." Liam nodded, his jaw tight. "He did what he believed in," he said. "And because of him, we stopped the Virkans." The crew mourned Ethan's loss, but they also knew his actions had made a difference. The hive was gone, and with it, the immediate threat of the Virkans. But as the Vanguard drifted through space, the glowing symbols from the ruins lingered in their minds, a reminder that the universe still held countless dangers. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. The SS Vanguard drifted silently through space, its crew still reeling from the loss of Commander Ethan Hayes. The victory over the Virkan Hive felt hollow without him. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars as if searching for answers. The weight of leadership pressed heavily on his shoulders, but he knew the mission wasn't over yet. There was still work to do. Nova, the alien survivor, remained in the medical bay, its light flickering weakly. It had used nearly all of its energy to guide the team through the hive and help them destroy the core. Dr. Rachel Meyer stayed by its side, doing everything she could to keep it stable. "You saved us," Rachel whispered softly, her voice filled with gratitude. "We'll take care of you now." Nova's thoughts were faint but clear. "Thank you," it replied, "for helping me fight back." In the days that followed, the crew worked tirelessly to process what had happened. Lieutenant Olivia Brooks analyzed data collected from the ruins in the hive, piecing together fragments of information about the Virkans. Her findings painted a grim picture. The parasitic species had been spreading across the galaxy for centuries, leaving devastation in their wake. Entire civilizations had been wiped out, their life forces drained to feed the insatiable hunger of the Virkans. "They're not gone," Olivia said during a briefing, her tone serious. "The hive we destroyed was just one part of their network. There could be others out there." Liam nodded, his expression grim. "Then we need to be ready. We can't let what happened here happen again." Ethan's sacrifice weighed heavily on everyone, especially Rachel. She spent hours in the medical bay, caring for Nova and reflecting on the cost of their mission. "He gave his life so we could stop them," she said quietly to Liam one evening. "We have to honor that." "We will," Liam promised, "by staying vigilant and protecting those who can't protect themselves." As the Vanguard continued its journey, Nova began to recover slightly. Its light grew stronger, though it remained fragile. One day, it shared more memories with the crew, images of its people before the Virkans arrived. They had been peaceful, advanced beings who valued knowledge and creativity. The contrast between their thriving civilization and the barren ruins they left behind was heartbreaking. "I want to stay," Nova said suddenly, breaking the silence. Its thoughts were calm but firm. "With you." The crew exchanged surprised glances. "Are you sure?" Liam asked. "You don't owe us anything." Nova hesitated, then replied, "You showed me kindness when I had none left. You fought for my people when no one else would. I wish to learn from you and help where I can." Rachel smiled gently. "You're welcome to stay," she said. "We'd be honored to have you." With Nova aboard, the Vanguard set course for Earth, carrying both hope and sorrow. The crew knew they couldn't undo the pain caused by the Virkans, but they could honor those who had been lost by continuing their mission. Along the way, they released the coordinates of the destroyed hive to the Deathworlders fleet, warning other ships of the potential threat. When they finally reached Earth, the crew was greeted as heroes. News of their bravery spread quickly, and people hailed them for defeating such a terrifying enemy. But Liam made sure to remind everyone of the sacrifices that had been made. During a ceremony honoring the fallen, he spoke of Ethan's courage and selflessness, ensuring his memory would live on. Nova chose to remain with the fleet, becoming an ambassador of sorts. It shared its knowledge with scientists and leaders, teaching humanity about the dangers lurking in the cosmos. Though it missed its own kind, it found solace in the friendships it had formed aboard the Vanguard. As the ship prepared for its next mission, Liam gathered his crew on the bridge. "We've faced the worst this universe has to offer," he said, his voice steady. "And we've come out stronger because of it. But our job isn't done. There are still voices calling for help, and we'll answer every single one." The crew nodded, united in purpose. The scars of their last mission would always remain, but so would the lessons they had learned. Together, they vowed to keep fighting. For Ethan, for Nova, and for everyone who looked to the stars with hope. The *SS Vanguard * prepared for its next mission, but the memory of Commander Ethan Hayes lingered like a shadow over the crew. His sacrifice had saved countless lives, and though they were proud of what they had accomplished, the loss was still fresh in their hearts. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, watching as the stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewport. He knew the galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but he also knew his crew was ready to face whatever came next. Nova, now a permanent member of the team, had grown stronger over time. Its light no longer flickered weakly. Instead, it glowed steadily, a symbol of resilience and hope. It spent hours with Lieutenant Olivia Brooks, sharing knowledge about the Virkans and other species it had encountered in its travels. Together, they worked to create maps of uncharted sectors, marking areas where the parasitic creatures might be hiding. "We can't let them rebuild," Nova said one day, its thoughts calm but firm. "If we find another hive, we must act quickly." Liam nodded. "We'll stay alert. But we're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting to protect those who can't fight for themselves." Dr. Rachel Meyer often joined Nova in the lab, learning more about its biology and culture. She found comfort in these moments, knowing that Ethan's sacrifice had given this alien a second chance at life. "You remind me that there's still good in the universe," she told Nova one evening, "even after everything we've seen." Nova's presence brought a new sense of purpose to the crew. They weren't just explorers or soldiers. They were guardians, tasked with defending the vulnerable and standing against threats no one else could face. As they traveled through space, the *Vanguard* responded to calls for help from distant colonies and stranded ships. Each mission reminded them why they had chosen this path: compassion and courage. One day, while analyzing data from deep space scans, Olivia noticed something unusual, a faint signal coming from a remote corner of the galaxy. It wasn't a distress call, but rather a pattern of energy readings that matched those of the Virkan hive. Her heart sank as she realized what it meant. "Captain," she said urgently, stepping onto the bridge, "I think I've found another hive." Liam studied the readings carefully, his jaw tightening. "Are you sure?" "It matches the profile," Olivia replied. "It's smaller than the last one, but it's active." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had hoped the destruction of the first hive would end the threat, but the universe rarely gave easy answers. After a brief discussion, Liam made the decision to investigate. "We'll approach cautiously," he said, "but if it's another hive, we'll deal with it." As the *Vanguard* set course for the coordinates, Nova spoke up. "I will go with you," it said firmly. "This is my fight too." The journey was tense, each member of the crew lost in their own thoughts. Memories of Ethan's bravery inspired them to push forward, even when fear crept in. When they arrived at the location, they discovered a small dormant hive floating silently in the void. It seemed abandoned, its surface cold and lifeless. "Could it be inactive?" Rachel asked hopefully. Olivia ran scans, her brow furrowed. "It's possible, but we need to be certain." With Nova leading the way, a team ventured inside the structure. The air was thick and stale, the walls unmoving. There were no signs of Virkans or captives, only empty chambers and broken machinery. It appeared the hive had been abandoned long ago, perhaps after the destruction of the larger one. "This is good news," Liam said as they returned to the ship. "But we can't relax yet. If one hive remains, others might too." Nova nodded. "We will keep searching," it said, "until the threat is gone." Back aboard the Vanguard *, the crew felt a renewed sense of determination. They had faced death and despair, but they had also found hope and unity. Together, they vowed to continue their mission, protecting the innocent and standing against the darkness. As the ship drifted into the unknown, its engines humming softly, Liam looked at his crew with pride. They were flawed, scared, and weary, but they were heroes. And as long as there were stars to explore and lives to save, the *SS Vanguard* would keep moving forward.